Chapter 1. God's Not Dead. What divides us is not science. We are both committed to science, but our worldviews. No one wants to base their life on a delusion, but which is a delusion? Christianity or atheism? Professor John Lennox of Oxford. When a man stops believing in God, he doesn't then believe in nothing. He believes anything. G.K. Chesterton. I was in my third year of college when my atheist older brother Ben decided to try to talk me out of my Christian faith. I probably looked like an easy target. I had not been a Christian that long, and Ben was in his third year of law school at Southern Methodist University in Dallas. He was at the top of his class and already had a master's degree in counseling and had been sharpening his disdain for Christianity for a while. We arranged to meet over a weekend at our parents' house in Dallas. Ben prepared as if he was going to be trying a legal case, studying the Bible to get the ammunition he needed to blow me out of my new faith. He told one of his classmates, "I'm going home to get my little brother out of this born-again thing." He showed up with his prepared questions and finely tuned challenges, anticipating anything I might say. He was confident he could get me to abandon this whole notion of faith in God and belief in Jesus Christ. I'd like to tell you that I had brilliant, learned answers for everything he brought up, but I never had the chance to respond to them all. As I listened to and addressed Ben's doubts, simply the truth of God's Word began to soften his heart. I could see he was doubting his doubts. There was finally a moment when I told him, "Ben, it's not what you don't know about God that's keeping you from believing, it's what you do know. You know He is real, and you know He is a holy, meaning pure, God." The Apostle Paul wrote that people suppress the truth in unrighteousness, according to Romans 1:18. The reason? They don't like God's rules. The problem with this is that it's like trying to hold a beach ball under the water. The harder you push truth down, the more forcefully it resurfaces. This was definitely what my brother was doing. He was trying to escape from the pangs of conscience that were convicting him of his behavior. At the end of the day on which he intended to talk me out of my faith, I baptized Ben in a swimming pool in Dallas. Not long after that, he came up out of the water and said, "I don't think you've answered all my questions, but I think I was asking the wrong questions." Today, Ben is a successful trial attorney in Austin, Texas, and a formidable witness for Christ himself. That weekend, over 30 years ago, was a turning point for both Ben and me. He became a believer in Jesus Christ while he was trying to talk me out of this, quote, born-again thing, and since that time, I've devoted my life to getting people out of, quote, this atheist thing. I work primarily among university students around the world, and I've been joined by thousands of others who have found that faith in God is both spiritually revitalizing and intellectually satisfying. We've also seen the opposite, that atheism doesn't satisfy a person's heart or mind. The end of faith? More than 40 years ago, the cover of Time magazine asked, "Is God dead?" The writers were reflecting upon the famous claim made by 19th century German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche that God is dead. Other voices from that century raised the same issue in different words. Followers of Charles Darwin had suggested that belief in God would soon disappear from a scientifically progressive society. Karl Marx had said that religion is a drug, the, quote, opium of the people. In 1999, The Economist magazine published an obituary for God. But a funny thing happened on the way to the funeral. In 2009, the senior editor of The Economist co-wrote the book God is Back, which served as a retraction of the 1999 article. Christianity is experiencing astounding growth in Africa, Asia, and Latin America. In Europe, where there have been generations of religious decline, there are encouraging signs of spiritual growth, particularly in places such as London, Berlin, and Dublin that have had a deep history of faith in God. This is due to an intellectual renaissance as well as a spiritual one. People are awakening from the dogmatic slumbers of secularism and naturalism. And in America, the overwhelming majority still acknowledge the existence of God, and the nation is beginning to witness a spiritual awakening among youth. In spite of the fact that God has been virtually banished from the classroom, university and high school students are questioning what they've been taught, the naturalistic dogma that the universe and life are merely the product of blind, random forces, and they are acknowledging that there are rational grounds for believing in a creator. The thick fog of unbelief that has hovered over academia is starting to burn off as more and more evidence for an intelligent creator surfaces. With this rise in faith worldwide has come a corresponding response. Over the last decade, the secularist camp set out to stem the tide of renewed faith.